So let me make one thing very clear. I personally don't feel like you need to love your job, but if you're going into work every day and you feel like you're wasting your time, that's the real problem. Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Brittany Hayles and this is Hayles Consulting, a business dedicated to helping motivate you to take ownership of your career. I started this business because I'm really good at helping people figure out the best career path for them based off of their needs. And what I've found through multiple conversations I've had with people is that when you don't like your job, it's usually because you don't know exactly what it is that you want to do with your career, or you know exactly what you want to do, but you don't know how to get there, so you feel very stuck. Yes, you may not like your job, but you also don't have to love your job. So it's not necessarily about aiming to find a job that you love. It's aiming to find a job that doesn't feel like a waste of your time or you don't dread going there every day. So in today's video, I'm gonna be walking you through 5 things that you can do today when you absolutely don't like your job and are ready to move on to one that feels right. Before we even get started here, you know the drill. Go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so you can be notified every time I post a new video. Also, don't forget to follow Hayles Consulting on Instagram and pretty much every social platform. I'm there. Hayles Consulting's there, Brittany's there, period. So go ahead and follow us. Let's get started. So the first thing you need to understand when you don't like your job, it's probably because it's not aligning with what you want and need out of your career. So the first tip is to write down your 3 main career needs. Your career is very similar to your relationships, believe it or not. If you're going through your career with literally no requirements, no boundaries, no checklist of what you're looking for, similar to a relationship, there's a great chance that it's not gonna have a happy ending. It's important to get clear about what you need out of your career because that is how you pursue jobs. You understand what it is that you want to do, what you will not do, what type of jobs that you will apply for, the ones that you won't apply for. When you don't have those needs identified, you're just going to be picking up the job that seems cool or picking up the job that pays the bills, but there's going to be so much dissatisfaction in certain areas because you didn't understand that they were important to you, but they are. Now, what I mean by career needs are items or elements or things that you absolutely need in your career based off of your lifestyle, family, compensation, whatever it may be. So some elements or ideas for career needs could be you want a job that offers work-life balance, or a job that offers an awesome location, or a job that offers high compensation. There are so many different things that you could possibly prioritize, but these are just 3 examples. So for instance, let's say you're incredibly family oriented and you know that by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you want to be home to spend time with your family, to eat dinner with them, to watch TV with them, whatever it may be. You need to prioritize and have work-life balance be one of your 3 career needs. Now, when you're thinking about your 3 career needs, keep in mind, just like relationships, you can have a checklist of all the things you want in a man or a woman. And in your career, you can have the checklist of like 40 things you want. In this case, we're picking 3. You do have to be real with yourself that you're not always going to get all 3 in a position. So what you want to focus on is pursuing at least 2 of those things in the job that you're looking for. And I highly recommend that you rank them to really understand, okay, I can sacrifice the 3rd one for the other 2. But please, I'm begging you, you have to understand what you need and want out of your career in order to be satisfied. I tell people all the time, it is hard to wake up every day. It's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to go to work. It's hard to find any motivation to do anything if you don't have an end goal or a North Star as to why you're doing what you're doing. You will continuously be dissatisfied in jobs and throughout your career if you don't have an end goal as to what you're working towards every single day. Now, when I say career end goals, it's basically another word for what's your dream job, what's your dream life, what's your dream lifestyle, like what are you working towards? I don't like using the term dream job because it makes it seem like it's not attainable. When you're dreaming about something, it's usually such a foreign concept that you can't even picture attaining it. So I like to say career end goal so that it feels like it's something that you can actually do. And something to keep in mind too, a lot of times we think of that end goal as an actual position, but sometimes it's a lifestyle. So when you're thinking about those 3 end career goals, make sure that you're visualizing not only just the position you want to be in, but also the lifestyle you want to be in. Now again, the reason why this is important is because you will never like your job if you do not have an end goal in mind of what you want out of your career. For instance, as I said before, head of marketing at a healthcare company. Let's say that right now you work in the HR department, but you know, all right, you've identified, I want to be head of marketing at this company. You know that you need to transition into marketing, and that's why you're dissatisfied, because you don't really like HR. That's not really your passion. You want to be in the marketing org, but that's not something that you can identify and work towards if you haven't been able to think about like what it is that you want out of your career. And for that lifestyle end goal, you know that you want to work remotely so that you can travel the world. If you're working at a desk job that is stagnant, even though your career end goal is to work remotely, like maybe you can pick up a job that allows you to travel. Maybe travel is a part of your work so that you can eventually get to a place where you have a completely remote job. You have to think about these things, or else you're going to be consistently working in a job you don't like because there's no end goal. So if you wake up in the morning and you're like, I don't know if I can do this job again today, there's a great chance that you don't have an end goal as to what you want to do. And if you do have an end goal, you're working in a job that has nothing to do with it. And you also want to keep in mind that your career is a journey. So even when you've identified like, all right, this is my end goal, there's a great chance that in the beginning of your career, what you're doing may not align with your end goal, but you want to keep that in mind so that you can continuously be working towards it. By the middle of your career, you should be in a pretty solid place that's going to set you up to be where you want to get to. So the third tip is to create an outline, strategy, and timeline for your job search. You've already identified that you don't like your job. You've made it very clear. You don't want to be there. You're tired of it. And I respect that and I understand that. But based off of the first 2 tips that we announced, what are your needs? What's your end goal? You can now make a clear judgment on should you stay in your job and try to fight for those needs that you want or what you're working towards in your end goal, or have you just realized that the job that you're currently in is not going to help you get to where you're trying to get to, so now you need to leave. So that's pretty much where the decision comes down to. Do you stay and pursue what it is that you need, or do you leave and pursue what it is that you need? In the case of you staying, your job search isn't necessarily a job search. It's you speaking with your manager about wanting to better your compensation or better your lifestyle or better your location. Thinking about what you've listed out as your needs and working towards that. Letting them know what your end goal is in your career and asking how can they help you get there. If you're ready to leave your job because you're like, there's absolutely no way I can grow here and it doesn't align with what I'm trying to do or where I'm trying to get to, and you've announced, like you've determined that by the first 2 tips, now it's time for you to create that outline strategy for and timeline for your job search. Now, in terms of the outline, what you want to do is outline the industries, positions, and companies that you're interested in. A strategic job search is one that's relevant. So think about what you're currently doing and try to make sure that whatever it is that you're trying to pursue next that will make you more satisfied or align with those career goals, make sure that it's relevant so that you're actually having a strategic and successful job search. And make sure that that outline is keeping in mind those 3 needs that you've identified earlier in the video. If you know work-life balance is top priority for you, there are certain industries that should not be in your outline just based off of pretty obvious employee reviews on the industry and that the industry is not known for having great work-life balance. So keep these things in mind so that your outline is aligned with not only what you want, but also relevant to what you're doing so that you can set yourself up for success in that application process. The second thing you want to do is also create that strategy for your job search. So one of the biggest parts of a strategy is a networking strategy. You've identified the industries, the companies, the position. Now you need to start talking to people in those industries, in those companies, and in those positions and see and ask them questions about your 3 needs. Is there really work-life balance here? Are they paying competitively? Like, ask them these questions so that you can really know if that job is going to be a satisfactory job for you. Are you actually gonna like it based off of where you're trying to get to or what you need out of your career? Another huge thing for your networking strategy, I talk about this all the time. Boo-boo, you applying to 3 jobs every month is not gonna cut it. It's not. So that is incredibly important. The same way you schedule this appointment and watching this on Netflix, you need to set aside time to actually apply to the job. So let that be a huge part of your strategy as well. Now, in terms of the timeline, this is where you're gonna hold yourself accountable. You've already identified that you don't like your job and it's making you cry to go there every day. So you need to leave, but you also wanna hold yourself accountable. You know that you started this job in January, you wanna be out by June. What is it that needs to be done between January and June to get you out? That's where the timeline comes into play, and make sure it's realistic. On average, it takes about 3 months to find a job between like applying and then finishing all the interviews. On the longer side, it usually takes about anywhere from 6 to 8 months. So think about the timeline that's realistic to you based off of the amount of input that you can give, but keeping that timeline in mind, because I don't want you sitting in a job that you don't like, but I also can't do anything about it. Only you can, and you have to hold yourself accountable with that timeline. Now, the 4th tip is to create a fun and fulfilling life outside of work. You've already identified that you don't like your job. It's tiring, it's stressful. I understand. Now you wanna leave work and be satisfied with what's going on in your life. So it's so important that when you don't like your job and you don't like what you do, that when you go home, you like the environment that you're in. So create that like sanctuary for yourself. Start taking classes if you need to. Create healthy habits so that when you leave work, you have something to look forward to. Spend time with friends, do things. Like, as I said, you need balance. If you leave work that you don't like, and you're coming home, or you're leaving work to an even worse situation or a situation that's very similar, like, that's not the best. So find things that are really satisfying to you, fun and fulfilling. If you want to start something new, if there's something that you've always wanted to do but didn't have the time to do, like, find the time. Your job is already taking away so much time from you. So the least you can do is find that time for fun and fulfilling things, because that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes we get so bogged down in the job that we don't like, and then everything just goes to the wayside. Like, you start picking up unhealthy habits, you don't want to hang out with people anymore, you just kind of go into this ball and bubble, but that's not going to help you, right? So definitely find those things that bring you joy and find your passions and pursue them. Now, the 5th tip is to invest in professional guidance through a career coach or therapist. There is absolutely no need to suffer in silence. A lot of times your job gets so bad to the point where it starts affecting your mental health. Like, you're having trouble even doing simple tasks on a daily basis because your job just has you in such a bad mental state. I've been there. I know what that feels like. So if you're at a place where you're feeling so low, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you invest in therapy, or whatever it is that will really just pick you up and guide you through that really low point. Because a job can get you there. And if you don't like your job enough, it can definitely put you in that place where you're just like, you have no hope at all. And I know therapy in many cases can cost a lot of money, but there are also like complimentary and free therapy services where you can just Google online free therapy near me. There's so many resources that you could potentially use, but please do not suffer in silence, because your job takes up a huge portion of your week and your life. And if you're not satisfied in it, you may find that you're just like at a very low point. So one of the main things I always recommend that people do when you're just really dissatisfied in your job is invest in therapy or any sort of professional guidance that will help you create those strategies and realistic standpoints of what to do to better your mental health. And also remember that when you're creating that outline and the timeline and the strategy of your job search or what it is that you want to do next, sometimes you just want to have someone look over it or help you determine like whether this is the right next step. So investing in a career coach can honestly help you do that. I'm a career coach myself, and I have a career coach, because sometimes like I'm like, okay, I can take this career path, but I don't know if this is the best for me. It never hurts to get a second lens or a second eyes on what it is that you're trying to do, because there may be some gaps in there that you may not see yourself. So if you're at a place where you're like, I don't like my job, I'm ready to go, do not be afraid to invest and seek out career coaches. And the way to best find them, I found mine through Instagram. You can go on Google and search, like there's so many ways. And again, obviously I'm a career coach, so I can help you out, but do your research and definitely speak out and reach out to them and set up a discovery call. Most provide them for free so you can figure out who's the best fit for you. I also offer those myself, because it isn't the best to just like go with the very first career coach that you see. Like, you want to fill people out, you want to shop around, honey. So remember that when you don't like your job, it's very important for you to get clear about what you want and what you need and pursue it. And keep in mind that it's so important to keep those healthy habits outside of work, so that when you leave a stressful work situation, you can de-stress outside of work. And remember that it is totally okay to seek and invest in professional guidance. As I said earlier in this video, I am a career coach. So if you're at a place where you're like, listen, I'm about tired of this job, I can help you with that. I literally create strategies for people every single week on how to leave their current job or just find that career that's more fulfilling for them. So you can book time with me at info@haylesconsulting.com, or you can use a link down in the description box below to learn more on how to book time with me. I also offer career workshops for organizations. So if you and your company or the organization you're a part of or school really is looking for someone to help with career development, resume development, interview prep, I am your girl. You can email me again at info@haylesconsulting.com, or use the link down in the description box to learn more. As usual, thank you all so much for watching. Do not forget to comment down below any tips that you have on what to do when you absolutely cannot stand your job that worked for you. Like this video, share it with anyone who you know will benefit from it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.